How to remove a battery and replace the solid-state drive in a Lenovo IdeaPad Slim 6. First thing you want to do is unplug the power cord and shut down the computer. I'm going to show you the make and model label of this computer. Now what you want to do is make sure you have all the tools you need ready. You'll need a Torx T5 and a small Phillips screwdriver, or a kit like mine which has many different interchangeable types. All of the screws on the first layer of screws here on the bottom are the same, so these are the Torx T5. When you unscrew them, make sure that you don't scrape the computer case, because it's very easy to slide off of these screws, especially since the ones that I'm doing right now are angled. You gotta make sure you line up the angle right so that your screwdriver doesn't slip off. What I'm doing is lining up the screws in a small pattern, the same exact layout that is on this layer, so that I know which screws went in what holes, and then I can have several different sections of layers of screws if the laptop requires it. This laptop is pretty simple, and so it's not going to be a lot of different layers like some laptops have. I place the screws upside down on the flat part of the head so that they don't roll around on the desk and get misplaced and get out of the layer arrangement. So on the bottom there are 4 screws, on the sides there are 2 screws, and then the back by where the battery would be, there are 3 screws. So this guitar pick like thing is plastic, so it's not going to scratch the case. So if you insert it in to the side right there and then twist it, you can start pulling up and prying up the bottom of the laptop. You will feel it snap and hear some snaps, but that's okay. You're not breaking the plastic. It's just designed that way. So I start from the corner and then lift up and pull the rest of it off. Make sure you're not on soft carpet so that you don't get static electricity on the system. Now we've got to unplug the battery. So pull on that cord until it comes out of the slot. And then there are screws. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 screws to undo to remove the battery. You'll want to use Phillips screwdriver bit for that. These screws are a little bit easier to unscrew. They're slightly bigger and they come out really smoothly. And again, I'm putting them in the pattern, same pattern that they came out on of the laptop. Now you can just lift away the battery Be careful not to bend it. It's really thin, so it's easy to bend. So if you remove this plastic cover, it has some adhesive on it. It covers the solid state drive and the processor. That silver part goes right on top of the solid state drive. Now that's the solid state drive. It's really small. Make sure you undo the one screw with a Phillips screwdriver. You might have a sticker over the screw too, so that you might have to take off first. Now I'm going to use the plastic piece to just pop it up because it's stuck to an adhesive pad. Now you can slide it out just gently. One thing that is interesting about these new solid state drives, this is a PCIe 512 gigabyte NVMe solid state drive. Now this is a Dell Mechanical 500 gigabyte hard drive, so you can obviously see the huge size difference. Now that's that adhesive pad. You can take it off, or I just like to leave it on, and then I can set the solid state drive down on its back. That way dirt doesn't get on the pad. That's the processor. I'm not going to remove it because I don't want to have to reapply thermal compound right now. One thing that you notice is there's the Wi-Fi card, and then the cord, you can follow it, comes up and it goes all the way to into the screen actually. One thing you notice here too is the memory is not available right here for you to replace, so you'll actually have to dig in deeper to replace the memory. So next what you want to do is you can get your new solid state drive and then install it into the system. What I'm going to do is just put the same one back in the system since I don't have a new one for it. I was just taking this apart to show you. So once you push it down, it'll stick with that adhesive pad. Put your Phillips screw back in. One thing to make sure that you don't do is tighten any of these screws too tight, because if you do, you can damage the system or the laptop case and have to buy new parts. Now this plastic cover, make sure you have the silver part on the solid state drive, and there's a little notch right there that you can see a little metal piece fits right in. So press it down, make sure to smooth it out, and then place the battery back down and make sure it's flush and flat where it needs to be all the way across, because if you don't have it in just right, it might be sticking up slightly in some area and then you can't get the case on properly. Put your 4 silver Phillips screws back in. Alright, so now you've got to put the wire in. Make sure it goes all the way in. It can have a tendency to go partially in, but not all the way. It will feel like it can't go any further, but it can. So just press it far enough in until it actually is snug and in there properly all the way. Now you can put the lid back on. So what I do is kind of put it in at an angle, and then I press down to make sure the edge there gets snapped in, and then I press all the way around all the edges and you'll feel some snaps. You'll have to press a little bit hard, but not super hard, and make sure all of it is sealed around the edges. And then you'll have to put your Torx T5 screws back in. Like I said, this laptop is very easy because the screws are all the same. I've worked on many laptops and I've seen where you have so many different sizes of screws everywhere and many different layers. It can be very difficult. So this laptop is exceptionally easy. Again, make sure you get the angle right when you're putting the screws back in, or you'll cross some threads, and then you might end up stripping out the screw, or you just may have a screw that's not sitting in right and sticking out a little bit, and it can catch on things when you're sliding your laptop around. Once you're finished, make sure that your computer can turn back on. This laptop takes a while to come back on after you've connected the parts. So don't be surprised or worried if there's a delay for maybe a few minutes before it actually comes back on.